World War I, often remembered for its trenches, gas attacks, and staggering loss of life, was far more than a simple conflict between empires. It reshaped the very fabric of modern society, from politics and technology to culture and daily life. Imagine the world at the dawn of the 20th century. Monarchies ruled vast continents, societies were rigidly structured, and industrial progress was just beginning to accelerate. Yet, in just 4 years, this war would not only topple empires, but also ignite revolutions, spark technological leaps, and lay the foundation for the modern era as we know it. Before the war, Europe was a continent simmering with tension. Imperial rivalries stretched across Africa, Asia, and the Pacific as nations competed for colonies and resources. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo was merely the spark that ignited a powder keg of political alliances and national ambitions. Soldiers marched in uniforms that reflected centuries-old traditions, yet they faced weapons that were horrifyingly modern. Machine guns, long-range artillery, and chemical gas that could choke entire battalions. On the home front, ordinary citizens confronted shortages, inflation, and the creeping fear that the war would touch every corner of their lives. This collision of old-world structures and new-world technology created a conflict unlike anything seen before, one that would leave a permanent mark on every society involved. The battlefield itself became a laboratory of innovation and horror. Trenches carved across landscapes from Belgium to the Eastern Front, dotted with barbed wire and mud that swallowed men whole. Yet, from this chaos came unprecedented advances. Tanks, airplanes, and early forms of armoured vehicles began to rewrite military strategy. Medical science also accelerated under pressure, as doctors faced new injuries and diseases on an industrial scale. Beyond technology, the war changed how societies thought about citizenship and sacrifice. Women, stepping into factories and offices to replace men at the front, began to challenge centuries of gender roles. Entire economies shifted to sustain the war effort, planting the seeds of modern industrial production and centralised government planning. The end of World War I did not bring peace, but rather a volatile reshaping of global power. The Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian and German empires collapsed, creating a map filled with new nations and contested borders. The League of Nations emerged as a first attempt to prevent another global conflict, even as revolutionary movements, from Bolshevism to anti-colonial uprisings, began reshaping the world order. The war also left an indelible cultural imprint. Literature, art and philosophy grappled with the scale of human suffering, questioning old certainties and embracing modernist experimentation. For a generation that survived the trenches and air raids, the world they returned to was fundamentally different, a world forever altered by the experience of global warfare. Economically, World War I accelerated the move towards a globalised market and modern capitalism. Nations borrowed and spent like never before, setting the stage for future booms and future collapses. Societies rebuilt from the rubble of cities and factories, leading to urbanisation, new technologies, and expanded communication networks. Politically, the war demonstrated both the potential and the limits of international cooperation, revealing how fragile peace can be when old grievances linger beneath new institutions. Even the smallest village felt the impact. Rationing, veterans' reintegration, and the loss of an entire generation shaped family structures, social customs, and national identities for decades to come. The psychological impact of World War I cannot be overstated. Soldiers returned with what was then called shell shock, a haunting reminder of modern warfare's toll on the human mind. Writers and artists sought to capture the disorientation and trauma in ways that had never existed before, laying the foundations for modern narrative techniques and visual expression. Simultaneously, nations began to recognize the importance of memory, commemoration, and education, ensuring that the lessons and the horrors of the war would be passed down. In many ways, World War I created a collective consciousness of the 20th century, a shared understanding that the modern world could be built or destroyed in the span of a few years. Though often overshadowed by World War II in popular memory, the First World War set the stage for everything that followed. It dismantled old empires, introduced new technologies, reshaped economies, and redefined the role of ordinary citizens in global events. Understanding this conflict is essential not only to grasp the history of the 20th century, but also to comprehend how the modern world, with all its complexities, came to be. World War I was not just a war, it was the crucible in which the contemporary world was forged, leaving a legacy that continues to echo in every corner of our lives today.
Thank you for watching this far. Remember to like, share and subscribe to get more interesting information.